The following video is for the Certified Private Equity Professional Program. In today's video, we're going to look at the hurdle rate of return. A hurdle rate is a set performance that must be achieved before any performance fee can be calculated and paid to the private equity fund manager. If you're familiar with our other videos of the Certified Private Equity Professional Program, you'll know that most general partners charge a management fee and a performance fee. This is typical in the alternative investment space. The management fee is typically 2%, while the performance fee is generally 20%. Now, a hurdle rate is the predetermined return which managers must pass in order to collect a performance fee. And with less experienced funds that don't have a proven track record of 3 to 5 years or so, or if there's more risk in investing for some reason, they may lower their management fee to 1% or lower. Some funds may even go as low as 0.5% or so. While the performance fee is generally 20%, that can also go lower or higher depending on the fund. Another way to entice investors is to establish a hurdle rate of return. So there's that predetermined rate in which the fund must pass in their rate of return for the manager to be able to collect a performance fee on anything above that rate of return. So we're going to look at an example of the hurdle rate of return. And today we're going to look at an inflation figure, which could be used for the inflation for if inflation is running at 3.2%, for example. So, let's try that again. If it is running at 3.2%, there's a nice flat line, and we're going to make this right here. That is the inflation amount. So, when the fund makes its returns, and say this is over a multiple year period, they will need to pass a certain rate, 3.2%. So during this time, let's say this is a year, if by this point right here, they still have not made it past this 3.2%, then they're not collecting a performance fee, which is a major part of the compensation for the general partners. So limited partners have little risk until they reach this point, in which they're going to have to pay out a certain percentage of the total performance of the fund, which would typically be 20%. So once it reaches this 3.2% threshold, after this, they are collecting a performance fee on those returns. So right up here, it can be, let's say, 4.5%. So they're going to collect the 20% on that point that is above 3.2%. So this is how a basic hurdle rate of return. It doesn't have to be pegged to the inflation. It could just be a predetermined amount. It could be 5%. It could be lower than that. Just something so that limited partners know that the private equity fund is going to have to work hard to collect that performance fee, and it's not just going to be on when it's sort of so that they have an incentive to collect absolute returns on the investment. So it's not relative to a benchmark such as the S&P, where they could be putting their money there and collecting, 3.2% or so. They want to know that they're going to get a higher rate of return if they invest in this private equity fund. This is usually a trade-off because private equity funds typically are long-term investments. So the investors, which could be institutional investors, high net worth individuals, and so on, they are going to tie up their capital in a less liquid investment than if they invest in a mutual fund or just in stocks or other forms of investment that are less long-term and allow them some more flexibility. So in exchange for committing this capital, the fund has to make it past this rate of return and exceed that, and if a private equity manager is confident in their ability to generate returns, they're more than willing to accept the hurdle rate. And this is pretty common in the industry. It's just one of the ways that compensation agreements and limited partner agreements are established. And it's another way to sort of entice investors. So the hurdle rate was introduced as a way of ensuring that the performance fee charged by private equity and hedge funds was justified and to protect clients from paying for returns that could be obtained elsewhere without taking on as much risk or tying up capital for as long a period of time. Hurdle rates are very popular among investors in hedge funds and private equity funds because it tends to make the compensation agreement between investors and alternative funds more fair, and it definitely aligns interests of the fund more in the limited partner's favor. And I hope that this was a good overview of the hurdle rate of return. It's definitely something that has become more popular as funds are seeking to entice more investors to commit capital to their funds. They use a hurdle rate of return as a way of lowering the risk for the limited partners. This was an overview of the hurdle rate of return at Certified Private Equity Professional. Thank you for watching.